Hello, talking Wolves. So Wolves won, Southampton won. I think the big talking point straight away, as we can all agree, is Cody not being in the team. His first non-league appearance since the Championship promotion season. Sace out with COVID. And we saw the starting lineup, and I thought Dendoncker was going to play sweeper, but it turns out, as we got going, he was in midfield, so it was four at the back, which I never thought I'd see the day. I never thought I'd see Nuno do it, but he did, and I was quite happy with it. First half, Dendoncker had that massive chance, didn't he? Where he's off the free kick, long range shot from Semedo, comes to him. Good save by McCarthy. You had a good game, McCarthy. He made a few really good saves. They had a chance as well, didn't they, in the first half? Walcott, a good save from Rui. There's a few other chances in there. I'd say Southampton had more of the ball, but we probably had more shots. But still, wasn't good enough for me, in my opinion. I wanted to see us go at them a bit more. Adama very quiet too. Second half, we come out. Second half FC, classic. We always say it. Can we go on and win it? Well, we went 1-0 down, so at that point, I was gutted. I thought we were going to go on and lose. And on the goal itself, poor defending. Really poor defending. Semedo caught napping, just lost his man, and Walcott had a tap in. I think we probably could have... We blocked the first cross, and then we let him have another go at it, and he wasn't very good at all, was it, defensively in that situation. And then just after that, Walcott goes through again to make it 2-0 and puts it wide. It's a good job he can't finish, because that would have been game over. And then the main man, Neto, who didn't start the game, which I thought was very harsh. Personally, I would have started him instead of Pedence. Although in hindsight, Adama probably didn't deserve to play either, but he had a few good runs second half, but you know. Anyway, Neto gets a goal. A shot from Jimenez, who was very quiet again, not much service. Hits the post and he puts it away, so I was happy for him there. Jimenez did put the ball in the net, but he was offside clearly, and I was hoping we could go on and win the game once we got to 1-1, but it wasn't to be, and I'd have took a point at 1-0 down. So overall, it's probably an okay result, but I'm just frustrated that we don't attack a bit more throughout the whole game instead of being very negative and sitting back. I just want us to go at Arsenal next week, please, Nuno. Positives, 4 at the back. Never thought I'd see it. It worked okay in stages, but let's attack more. Let's be more clinical. And I hope we can push on and go up the table and try and break into those European places. But Southampton are a good team, so let's just say a good point overall. Cheers, everyone. All talking Wolves.
Okay, so a pretty decent point at home to Southampton after what was a pretty disappointing game against Leicester. I think that we definitely showed a lot of promise in this game. Obviously, the biggest surprise of this match was that we played 4 at the back for the first time since I think it was May 2017 under Paul Lambert. So that was probably the biggest surprise. I think when the graphic came out and showed Dendoncker in the middle of the 3, I think a few of us were a little bit disappointed, but it turns out we did play a 4-3-3 and I thought we looked okay, to be honest. Southampton didn't really trouble us too much. I thought that we were decent defensively. I think there were times where we looked a bit ropey. Again, though, the problems were going forward and trying to get chances going forward and trying to actually get bodies into the box. And we didn't really do that until, ironically, we were 1-0 down, which I think sometimes is a bit of a... It's something that we could improve on under Nuno. I think there are certain things to improve on, particularly this season. We have seen that there are improvements that need to be made, but I think we played pretty well. I think we moved the ball around quite nicely, if a bit slowly. I didn't think it was our worst performance, but again, it was just a nothing performance. But I think the last sort of 25 minutes, we really turned it on, getting bodies in the box. Inspired substitutions by Nuno, has to be said. His substitutions did make a difference. Pedro Neto getting the goal, really good as well. He's having a really strong season. Although on paper he's only got 2 goals, I think he's been better than those goals show. Southampton's goal, disappointing. Poor defending, really. Nelson Semedo and I think it might have been Max Kilman, a bit guilty really for that one. Not the best defending. And to be honest, I don't really have too many complaints, but I don't really have too much to be positive with apart from the last half an hour, which was a lot better. We looked a lot more inspiring going forward. Jimenez had a bit of an off day today, but I still think, will he get an assist for that for the goal? I don't know, but not the best performance, but not the worst. A decent point against what is a very decent team. 1 point from these 6 available is not brilliant, but I'm pretty happy with the point. I think the point is probably what both teams deserved, and we can go into the next game with maybe a different system in our heads. Maybe the back four is worth pushing with. I don't know. I think it definitely looked pretty decent. We were getting a lot of numbers into the box towards the end of the game. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. But until then, we might go back to 5 at the back. But I'd like to see more at the 4 at the back. I think there was a bit of promise shown with that today.
Well, I don't really know what to think of that. I think a point is good against a Southampton team who are absolutely flying at the minute. But we had chances there to win the game. We had loads of chances where the efforts as well were probably quite unconvincing. I think the 4 at the back was something that no one was expecting. I think we expected Wolves just to go like for like and drop Dendoncker into where Cody's role is or something similar. But no, Nuno, we've been begging for him to play 4 at the back, and he finally did it. I, for one, couldn't believe it. And I was really excited, and I thought we started all right, but then we just went into our shell again, and it was sloppy, and there was no real progressive passing. It was very side to side, typical boring Wolves, which it has been for the past, I don't know, I'd probably say 12 months now. Not very good to watch at all. And it was very much Wolves with the handbrake on again, which you'd think with 4 at the back, with one more player in an attacking position, or at least further up the pitch, we'd have a bit more impact. But even with 4 at the back, it was just, you couldn't tell that we had a player further forward, which obviously goes to show that it's the philosophy that's causing that issue. It's not the shape, it's the philosophy. So that won't change. We know that. But the goal, Semedo switched off. I thought Semedo was having a decent game. To be fair, he got forward well, but that's inexcusable to switch off at the back like that. If Doc does that last season, he's getting pelters. So Semedo's got to be better there. He's just completely switched off. But then Neto came on and completely changed the game. But the whole dynamic changed, and this is what's so frustrating. It takes us to either go a goal down or 70 minutes for us to start playing, and that's not good enough in the Premier League to turn games round. If we'd have had a go earlier on against Southampton, even after conceding, we would have won that game. And if we'd have took our chances, and that's the difference. Defensively, not good at all. I think the gaps between Bolly and Kilman were too large, but that's as expected. It's a completely new system that we've not seen for 3 or 4 years now. So as expected, but I really don't know what to think of it. I think if we'd have lost that, I'd have been absolutely raging and saying something has to change. But are we going to go to 4 at the back? Are we going to see this more frequently? Is it just a one-off because Cody's out the side? I don't know. I'd like to see us play 4 at the back anyway, but I'd like us to play a 2, then a 3, then a 1, similar to how we were at the end of the game with Vitinha in the hole, because we're not getting Jimenez in the game enough. I know he was poor again tonight, but he's just not involved. Neto came on again, changed the game, and I don't know, when we take this game by the scruff of the neck, we look good, but for large parts we look terrible. So I suppose it's a good point.
Wolverhampton Wanderers 1, Southampton 1 in probably a fair result, to be honest with you. I mean, whenever I say that a player's not going to score and ask why they're on the pitch, they'll inevitably score and, kind of prove me wrong on that sense. So, I call it the Michael Bibb effect. I felt as though the first half we looked good without really being spectacular. We had a lot of chances, we created a hell of a lot more. But again, the amount of chances that we created and we only put one of them away is one of the negatives that you've got to take from this. But it's a lot more positive than what it has been in weeks. There's no question about that. Second half, Semedo, what the hell is he doing for the goal? I mean, if it was Doherty, the amount of abuse he'd be getting is ridiculous. Semedo just switched off there. I mean, what is going on? I mean, we all contested that one ball. It was about 3 players. They passed it into space. Semedo switched off and we're 1-0 down. I mean, it was probably fair at the time, but even then, when we brought on Pedro Neto, it just changed the game. Podence looked more lively. You could say Neto as well had a superb game. Adama's just proving why he should start every single game. He just kept beating his man, and he just kept adding that presence where the defenders were just crapping themselves every time he was getting in that position. Jimenez wasn't great. He had to try and create his own chances, but every time that he did, it seemed as though whenever the chance was created, he was massively out of position. Yeah, but 20 shots, that's not bad. Informed Southampton side get a point. A lot of positives to take from there. There's a lot more positives than negatives on there as well. And I personally think it's a really good point. It was probably a fair point in the reflection of the game as well. Are we going to play 4 at the back from now on? No. That doesn't like it. That just looks like it's a one-off game. If we play a lot of that again, then I'll be very much amazed on there. We did miss Cody's leadership on there quite a lot as well. Just some of the calls, maybe they could have helped, but yeah, ultimately a lot of positives to take from it. Are we going to play this well against Arsenal? Well, who knows? It's been 2 games this season. This has probably been our best performance where we've looked good and we've threatened the opposition. Anyway, thank you for having me on, Dave, as a party. Thank you very much, Talking Wolves. Stay safe, everyone.
Well, I think that was a bit of a frustrating one tonight. Going a goal down as we did, and luckily, obviously, getting it back. It's a bit of a sucker punch, though, when you obviously go 1-0 down at home, especially. I think we had enough attacking options, though, tonight, and it was good to see, obviously, Traore starting with him in the team. For me, we always look more of a threat. Great finish by Neto. Raul, that's just unlucky, isn't it, when you get caught offside like that? But then all of a sudden it's a different game. So, look, we've got to take the point. For me, it's just so difficult without the supporters being in the stadium. And I just think we're not going to see the full potential of this new side until there's a Pat Molineux, and then it's going to be completely different. And we're going to see some great football. So, it's not just over and out for me, it's over and out for my daughter, who's going to be screaming in a minute and want feeding. And it's also my wedding anniversary, and I'm in trouble for doing this video. So I've got to go. But guys at Talking Wolves, keep up the great work. Not a great result, but we move on and we go again. Over and out.